Welcome to the East Bridgewater School Committee meeting of December 17th, 2019. Please, at this time, we take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So first up, we have the superintendent is going to introduce someone, a very special person to us.
Yes, I'm going to announce the recipient of the 2019-2020 Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Academic Excellence Award. I asked Mr. Sylvia, the building principal here at the Junior Senior High School, to help me ask the senior class for a topic to write about, to read, and to come about responsibility of the community. He came up with everyone has a responsibility to their community. What does this mean to you, and what steps will you take to ensure this responsibility? We talked about it. I thought that was a great topic because we talk about giving back to your community. We talk about responsibility. We talk about civic responsibility all the time. This student's paper stood out to me because it was put very much into perspective of his age, what he's going to do, where he's going to go in his life, and I thought it really represented the type of student that we have here in East Bridgewater and the type of student that we want to have graduate with us here in East Bridgewater. And it just shows a well-rounded individual that comes from a great family, a good school district, and I think he's going to do very well. But some of the things that I saw in this, he said, it is up to you serving the community. I highlighted that this was it, spending hours after school communicating with designers and developing our floor plans. This was a team effort, and all three team members needed to be present to get this done. All of our efforts led to this one proposal for the establishment of the Viking Village, the new school store. We were approved, exclaimed Ms. Moore. The DECA chapter at East Bridgewater High School has witnessed some amazing feats in just a few months. We have grown our membership and enthusiasm by over 40 people. Most importantly, however, we established the school store. The school store is a symbol of unity. It was the collective action by different people that allowed us to manifest our store, and the little anecdote demonstrates the importance of the service to one's community. By contributing to the community, volunteers not only improve themselves on a moral level, but they push forward their ideals of the community. It's all about eliminating apathy and putting great ideas into action. There seems to be a stigma that great ideas are just ideas, and seldom do these ideas actually turn into something greater. We have an inclination to believe that only people with power can actually make change in the world and to their community. That is not true, not in the slightest. People often think to themselves something along the lines of the following: I'm just one person, what can I possibly do? They believe they cannot achieve change, approaching community service with the wrong mentality. A lone person is not like a bubble on the sea. They are crucial to working toward a common goal. We have a responsibility to our community to be educated, to be accountable voters in order to protect the health and cohesion of a community, our community. I hope to accomplish this through my career path and by simply living life, whether that is via the means of entrepreneurship or simply tending to my family, educating my children, or giving back to the people around them. In the short term, I'm looking forward to volunteering for local causes at whatever college I will attend. He finishes off with a quote: "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." Coretta Scott King. As Coretta Scott King, an author, activist, civil rights leader, and wife of Martin Luther King Jr., relays, it is up to the individual to encourage change and accelerate the achievements of a community. The individual has more power than they think they do. As members of the community, we are endowed with the responsibility to give back. We may contribute civically, via voting, socially, via encouraging others, or physically with the school store. The Certificate of Academic Excellence Award will I will be giving to Michael Alonzo D'Annunzio. Having duly qualified under the standards prescribed by the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, is hereby awarded the Certificate of Academic Excellence. In witness whereof the seal of the association and the signature of the Superintendent of Schools, and hereunto affixed. Michael, congratulations. I read this several times. I had people in my office read it, and I just wanted to tell you that we have talked about growing a community, civic responsibility, advocating for others in the community, taking on whatever it happens to be to take on in a community at large, and we're a community within the community here at the schools. I really appreciated your time, your thought process, your perspective that the school store is much more than a school store, that it is unity. We do have a unity club. And it's all part of activating a culture that all people, everyone in East Bridgewater belongs to this one community, regardless if the schools are out in the overall community. So I want to thank you for your perspective. I want to thank you for engaging in this type of activity that I don't ever get to really activate as much as I'd like to. But these are one of my favorite things to do at the beginning of the school year or middle of the school year. And so I wish you the best of luck at whatever school you choose. And thank you very much and congratulations.
Does he want to get a picture with everybody? Do you want to get a picture?
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, and I'm really grateful that you guys get to meet every week, and the school committee is in itself an example of community service. You guys help the school and its reputation and make the culture more robust. And again, just like you said in my essay, I really do think people have this notion that only powerful people have the opportunity to make change in their communities, but it's really the individuals and our collective efforts that make this change, just as you guys are right now. So thank you for this opportunity, and good luck for the rest of the school year.
Well done.
Well done.
I like people who show up.
Congratulations, Michael. I know you have to get off to a class. Good luck at your class. Next up, we have Mr. Bryan Noble, Town Administrator. Sure, or you can go right there to that desk.
So I invited our new town administrator, Bryan Noble, to come and meet the committee. Number one, because we haven't had him down here to meet with Bryan Noble. But the other is that John Shea and I met with Mr. Noble last week to start and kick off sort of the talking of our new budget for the 2021 season, or 2021 year. Bryan came down and John and I met with him. He gave us his outlay of what he would like to see for the town. We gave him our purview of what we'd like to see for our school community. I think it was a great conversation. We sat for about an hour. Since Bryan has come, we've met a few times, gone back and forth, and very open, very receptive to hearing about the school's budget and allocations and funding. And like we said, we're part of the town. We're all one. We're not the school and the town. We're all one, and I think that that's where Bryan fits in with us very well. He continues to say that in all the meetings that I've been in, along with the other town departments, including the schools. But I just wanted, very quickly, I knew that Bryan would be down here today, or we talked this afternoon on the phone. He said, I'm going to be down there at EBCAM for a meeting. So I thought I would just invite him in just so he could meet everybody and just say hello before we kick off the budget season.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, and for those of you who don't know my background, I served 6 years on a school committee, so I fully know what the obstacles are that you deal with, and I appreciate your service to the town, and I look forward to working with the administration, as we've already begun to, in formulating the budget. I do believe that the schools are our greatest asset in town. They are principally the reason people move to East Bridgewater. If you will, they don't move here because of our great beaches. So, yeah, our schools are our beaches, and that's why people come to this town. So we'll do, the mandate from the Board of Selectmen is to do everything we can to make sure that we support the mission, and we will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian and I spoke today. We are putting together our calendar for a meeting with John and myself, and the Town Administrator and Finance Committee, and I also told him that the Budget Committee will then we'll put our schedule together so that we can hook up and continue to these conversations.
Thank you.
We'll begin on January 6th, the sit-down of our two liaisons from the Finance Committee, which Melody and Crystal. Melanie and Crystal. We'll sit down on the 6th with Mr. Noble, myself, and John Shea, and sort of we always just do the parameters and where we're at, and where we were, where we want to be, and where we are at that moment. So, and I'll give you that schedule as it starts to come through.
And we're sharing projections of where we think the revenue numbers will be this year. They're not as optimistic as John has them, but,
Well, you know.
but we'll share that data with.
They're close, though.
I don't think so. He's much more optimistic that the Chapter 70 money is going to be greater than I think it's going to be. So we'll see what we've heard a lot of talk from the legislature. What I'd really like to see is some
Action.
actual numbers and how they're going to pay for it and exactly their funding formula, because they're going to mess with the net school spending number, and that could change the paradigm dramatically. So the real proof is going to be in what they deliver, not what they say. So John is very optimistic, and I'm very pessimistic. We'll see what happens.
Well, isn't that how
Hopefully-
it's supposed to work?
Hopefully we'll come someplace in the middle.
But thank you very much. I do appreciate the cooperation. To understand the issues that the school faces, I feel like I have a tremendous advantage. Liz is not too happy because I know all the tricks, so. But, no, it's going to be a good relationship. We're going to face these issues together.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you for coming. Happy
It's
holidays.
a pleasure, anytime, and thank you, and Merry Christmas, Happy.
Merry Christmas.
So I intentionally went out of order. I did not forget about you, Kira. I just failed to mention that I was going to let the town administrator go first. So next up, we have, what? He trumps me. Kira, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, I just have a quick round of updates from school clubs. So Tri-M had its first successful weekend of caroling. However, if you are still interested, you can donate $15 to the main office and send your caroling request to triamcarol@gmail.com if you still wish to have carolers come to your house this weekend. This is the last weekend of the 2019-2020 school year, and hopefully this bit of fundraiser will still be up and running next year. Math team did place third at its competition on December 5th. The marching band season has ended and it was very successful. The senior class is planning a winter dance on February 1st in a spirit week beforehand leading up to it. The winter blood drive was successful and people should start considering to sign up for the May blood drive. And finally, the Unity Club met with representatives from Bridgewater State University who are secondary education professors and workers, and they are trying to work African American history and other minorities' history within our curriculum.
That's awesome.
Good,
Excellent.
thank you. Next up, we have Superintendent's Community Corner.
Sure. The town administrator was here. We met on, again, we met on the budget. We sort of did some forecasting and predictions. We went back and forth in conversations, and we'll continue those conversations, and I'll give you that schedule as we get closer to those dates. Senior high school winter concert was last week, Wednesday, December 11th. Very well attended, excellent night. Can't say enough about Ms. Pavlov and Ray Ponte. Just excellent, excellent night. Tonight, I was at the Gordon W. Mitchell School at 5:30. I can't believe how big the band is getting, and the third and fourth grade chorus I got to see. I had to leave around 6:30 to get back up here. Not that it's a long drive, but I needed to get back up here, and they have a lot of kids, a lot of enthusiasm. Parents, the place was packed, very pleased with that, and Mr. Hatchfield was there from the senior high school for the marching band. Mrs. Pavlov was there, so they're watching the new talent that's on their way up here. I thought it was very nice to see them there, and many of the band and chorus students from the junior senior high school were at the Mitchell School, which I thought was nice. Tomorrow night, we have the junior high school winter concert here at 7 p.m.
Can I just say something to that?
Sure.
Only because it's been asked on Facebook. EBCAM will be available in the lobby at the concerts tonight as well as tomorrow.
Yes, I just said that because someone came to my office today.
Yeah, people
and
have been
asked-
asking, so I figured I'd put it out there.
Perfect. They will be there. And Christmas on the Common, very well attended. Once again, the building was packed. The parade was wonderful. They loved to see the marching band and the kids singing, and a lot of kids in the parade from East Bridgewater, obviously. The streets were packed. Down here, it was packed. The gymnasium was packed. Having the little plays that were going on in the auditorium. It's just a nice way to get the community together, as Michael said earlier. That's advocating for your schools and for your community to get together on a Saturday, to have fun, and just to represent yourself and your community.
I could not believe how late in the day this place was still a mob scene.
Jammed? Yeah.
Because I was here from like 1 to whenever it ended, 3, selling EBCAM games. And I had never been here late in the day before, and I was like shocked at, like, I couldn't even park here. I had to park over at Central and walk.
It was busy. It was busy in here. Received a letter of resignation from Nicole Doucette, our junior senior high school nurse, which is effective 1/3/2019. The reason I did put this on the front notes, we are having trouble with keeping our nurses. I think a lot is because we're up against, how hospitals and the hourly rate that they pay. So we are looking for a nurse. And we're always looking for nurses for our before and after care program, and just substitute nurses as well. So I wanted to get that out on the floor this evening. I can say that Amy Berengeret was up here this week, and it was nice to have, she's our lead nurse in the district. It's nice to have that lead nurse be able to come in and fill in when we're down a nurse. So I want to thank her. Lots going on. However, we must remember and be mindful that not every student in this district is going to have a grand Christmas and New Year. We do suffer with social emotional issues with some of our students. We do have some students that have lost parents, that have lost grandparents, that have lost their homes. We just need to be mindful as a community. It's not always about just gifting or giving money, but giving someone a little bit of love and a little bit more of attention at this time of year. I've told the principals, I've talked to all of my principals on Monday and the assistant principals 2 weeks ago, that this is the toughest time of the year for our students. It's hard, but not only is it hard for our students, as I said to the principals and all the administrators on Monday, and I said to the assistant principals, and when Dr. Williams and I meet with them, we said to them, our faculty and our staff also need a break. And they also need to be given an opportunity over the next few weeks to take a deep breath and we need to listen a little bit longer, go a little bit slower, and note that in the upcoming year, that we, again, are a school community that advocates for being a community. We listen, we try, we do our best, and no, we're not always going to get to the answer right away, but we all can work together and work with each other. So I just want, if we could just take a second over the next 2 weeks to take a deep breath, because not everything has to go 100 miles an hour. Not everything is the end of the world. You take a deep breath, we'll get to it, and people need to just know that we're here for them. Our students need to know that they're here for them, and the community is here for our students and for our teachers and staff. It's not easy. And we know that. We understand. We've been around schools a long time. Dr. Williams and I talk about this all the time. Schools aren't easy. They're difficult. We're parents, we're teachers. You could be the nurse at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're running around. You might be someone that's going to go down and have to get an extra milk. Got to go down and get a snack for somebody that forgot. We've got sweatshirts that are in abundance at the Mitchell School right now. I can't believe that parents aren't going over there to pick them up because kids are flying right now. They're like, hey, it's almost Christmas and I'm leaving. I'm getting a bike. And then there's going to be a student that might not even have a jacket and not going to get a bike. We need to remember those kids for the next couple of weeks here. So, and our teachers that have had a loss or some type of issue that we might not know about that has happened in their life. So, as we walk out of this 2019 and we walk into 2020, I think tonight is a nice night to have Mrs. Clifford and the assistant principal, Mr. Bosch, talk about the social-emotional discussion that they will. That's part of our strategic plan. It's part of the root of who we are here in the district. So I think it's nice to end with them in the 2019 year and then get us going in the 2020 year. A couple weeks ago, I don't know if you know this, but one of our professional development days was based on all about social emotional health. We had people out walking. John Shea did a tournament in the gym on cornhole. People laughed. People were on teams that they've never been on teams
was
with.
that?
I took them out walking. I'm sorry, what?
When did you say that was?
November, October.
It was in
The last day off.
November.
Yeah, the last
yeah.
full professional development.
It was well-attended. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
November 1st.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
That was also a bonus.
Yeah. But,
That was a bonus for the teachers, not having to deal with the sugared-up kids.
but I think that's something that gives credit to the Professional Development Academy, Dr. Williams, and the group that she leads of our staff, the teachers, the administrators, to recognize that we need to stop and not always just talk about academia, because we're not going to be able to send the message unless we're feeling good about ourselves. And so we're trying to do the same with our students. So,
Can I ask a question, Liz, and it may be better suited to you guys, I'm not sure. Because you're right, this is a wicked hard time for many, many families, even those who don't have issues going on. It's just a hard time of year. It's happy and sad all at the same time. So we shut down on the 21st, we reopen on whatever date is the 2nd, 3rd, I don't know. What happens with KINs in that timeframe? Do they just hold? Or does the police department have another option to, like, call a social service agency if it's really needed?
we'll still see the kids, the people that are,
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, that's what I was curious about. I mean, because you need a break too. I mean, I was just curious because I didn't know if there was like a backup agency that.
Come through, we're still working.
Yeah.
At very,
We're made aware of KINs through emails and if necessary to contact SRO with vacation and if needed, that kind of thing, support. supporting.
So if it was serious enough that they needed support,
Right,
we
yeah.
still have a team in place that could intervene.
We can contact each other through email.
And that's just the same through the summer as well, so it never stops.
Well, I knew this summer, I wasn't sure about the vacation, I wasn't sure how that worked. Well, I'm grateful that you're there to do that, but I also hope that you don't have to.
Yes.
And Teresa, I know that you had asked me about the before and after care. I don't know if you want to just touch on that. Maybe we don't. It was in the handbook.
As far as not ugly? Sure.
Just 'cause it's not like-
So.
Which makes total sense to me, by the way.
Yeah, so.
Dr.
it-
Williams runs that
And just to put it
With
into context for everyone, the question came up about offering care during the vacation break. And so since Mrs. Rosso had took over the directorship, she was kind of looking at the patterns of use for the vacation breaks. And over the last 2 years, looking at the Christmas break, it was real low numbers of students that were taking advantage of it. Also, difficulty in securing staff that was interested, because we're talking about breaks, and knowing that they work all year round. Having those days during Christmas or after Christmas and before New Year's off was also something that staff members were interested in. So we kept them working the last couple of years while we collected some data to see how many people were taking advantage of it. And the numbers were really low, I think like 7 one year, 9 another year. And then even those that were taking advantage of it, it was mostly for choice. You know, a parent maybe was returning some after Christmas returns, or maybe sending them just for a couple hours for socialization, as opposed to needing it for work. So it really didn't seem as though it was cost-effective for us to hire staff to come in for it, knowing there wasn't a real great need from the families.
And the Y still runs their program, right?
I believe so.
So it's not like people can't get the care if they want it.
Right. And one of the things that I talked about with Mrs. Verasso is, you know, making that known very early on so that parents aren't thinking going into December that they're going to have that available to them. And I think maybe, what is there, 4 days between Christmas and New Year's that would actually be considered work days, so it wasn't like it was
Yeah, there's
a
not a
whole
lot.
week.
Kind of a funky vacation.
So, and she'll continue to assess it, you know, each year, and if at some point in time the need seems greater, then we revisit it and secure staff.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Matt Bosch and also Karen Clifford. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about the social emotional goal number 2, and as the superintendent pointed out, we had our big district-wide November 1st mental health awareness. It was very well attended, very well received by all of the staff. I think everybody got a lot out of it. There was some things for teachers for their own health and well-being, as well as for teachers to utilize in the classroom, as well as to help students or to recognize students that might need additional supports. So there was something for everybody. Cornrow contest? Cornhole. So specifically what we've done in the junior high school to date is we had a 7th grade orientations that were held in June. We had a great turnout. This was the 2nd year that we've done that program. We had about 150 students of the 179 students in the 7th grade attend. So that was considerably more than last year, but it was very well attended. I think the change I made this year was to have it all in June, right after school, when anxiety was the most, instead of trying to spread it out over the summer. We did hold a 7th grade parent-student orientation in August before school. Had a very large turnout that the principal, it was kind of a meet the new principal and assistant principal, so that was a big draw. The 9th grade orientation we held in August, which is exactly 1 week before school. We did make a change of location from Stonehill to Bridgewater. We had about 75 students participate in this particular year out of 174. So enrollment was down. Enrollment has never been more than about 50 or 60%, and I think it's just the time of year. It's difficult to, right before school, sports start, right before school, that last week of vacation, the families are taking advantage of. But the students that did participate got a lot out of it and enjoyed it. The juniors, class of 2021, have participated in 2 college visits on September 26th. The students, there was 4 different buses that went to 2 different locations for students to start to see fit and environment as they begin their journey to their college selections for senior year. So we had about 98% participation in that. The PSAT was administered to 178 students on October 16th. This year was the first year I remember that we had 92 sophomores and 86 juniors. So it was the first year we had more sophomores than juniors. The reason for that sometimes can be that when sophomores take it, they don't necessarily repeat it again junior year, although it's recommended, but they don't necessarily. So I think that might be why our junior number was down. And the ASVAB test was administered to 30 students on November 14th. At the Mitchell School, I've been working with the principal and the guidance counselors, and new this year, they provided a survey to teachers to identify social, emotional, and executive functioning needs so that we can create lessons specifically targeted to those grade levels and create a social, emotional curriculum for that school. Rachel's challenge was presented to the students in all grades and the parents. That was in early November. And their cultural awareness program continues. I believe this is the 2nd or the 3rd consecutive year. This year, the 7th and 8th grade students that are at this building that participated in that program as 6th graders will be going down to the Mitchell School to work with those 6th graders to help create that bridge of cultural awareness from school to school, but also to help 6th graders improve their cultural awareness in the building. The Central has participated in Buddy Bench and Bully Guard presentations already, and they've done a Thanksgiving food drive. Grade 2 students are making knotted blankets to learn about random acts of kindness. So for every random act of kindness that they do, they can add a knot to the blanket. They're making sandwiches, which is part of their sandwich jam that they donate to the Mainspring House in Brockton. And they are also doing social emotional lessons in all grade levels. As far as our initiatives, we are completing the health and wellness curriculum review that we suspended, and we're finishing it this year. Part of what I've done is partnered with Bridgewater State University graduate program to assess our guidance programming alignment with the ASCA, which is the American School Counselors Association, guidelines. Those are changing, so that is a big push now to make sure that schools are in alignment with those new guidelines. So we've done some surveys that the counselors completed, and our graduate program partner is analyzing all of those results and will be sending recommendations based on those results to us, so that I'll be able to sit with the building principals and work through some of those things. We are in the process of bringing the Calm Classroom and mindfulness into grade 7. I'm not sure if you were aware that the Mitchell School has been doing that for the past few years, and it is in all 4 grades now, so 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now the 7th graders that are here had 2 years of it. Next year, 7th graders that will come up will have had 3, and then so on and so forth. So we really I want to get those Mitchell School counselors with our 7th grade counselors here at the high school to work with the 7th grade teachers in a common planning time to show them the benefits of the lesson so that they can continue that, so it doesn't just drop off when they come into this building. Aside from, the only other thing I have to report is the KINs, and the KINs from July of 2019, because it goes from July to June. So last year, for the full year, we had 190 referrals from July of 18 to June of 19.
Did you say 109 or 190?
190. Compared to the previous year of July to June, we only had 55. And the number has increased because the police department has become better at recognizing when a student is attached to the home, not necessarily present. So I think the year before it was low because they only reported if a student was present or a child was present. And now they're reporting if a child is connected, because they would not have to necessarily be present to feel any residual impact from an incident.
Were those 190 all single events, or were they like maybe a family 5 times?
Yes, they would certainly, some of them are double, they're more than one student or more than one child in the home, and they report all of them to us. So this, so far, from July 1 to December 1, there's been 85 referrals. So,
Or up more. Probably.
well, we're almost halfway through the year, so if we double the 85, we'll be just below 190, but there are definitely peaks, because I prepared the number through December 1st was 85, but since December 1st, we've had an additional 8, so now we're at 93. So this is a peak time, as the superintendent pointed out earlier.
And we're seeing that,
Just before
Karen,
summer.
the last couple of days, last week or so,
Right.
after we met with these guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as assistant principal, I get to speak on school-wide discipline and attendance. So from an SEL perspective, I work very closely with our district behavior therapist, Christy Anderson. So it builds a good rapport with the kids and the families. You know, for example, when I call parents, I have conversations with kids. I don't talk to them or talk at them. So we try to build a foundation of having a very supportive system, whether it's, you know, tangible consequences the kids have to serve or whatever the case in our in-school support center. We try to build a foundation of support for all kids in any kind of situation they find themselves in. But it is a real advantage in my position that I get to work so closely with our behavior therapist. And we have access, and it's with a full-time certified teacher, Mr. Doherty, in our in-school support center. So it gives us a great way where the kids are held accountable, but also they get to catch up and have support in their schoolwork. As far as something we have started in the last couple of weeks, we now have an after-school detention program. It's been very popular with staff and parents, not so much with kids, when I announced it at some assemblies earlier in the year. But the good, not through the office, school-wide. So we have.
Oh, so it was like individual to a teacher?
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
We have 5 staff members that are supervising it on a rotating basis. And I think the good thing that kids and parents and staff are starting to see, kids are able to go to teachers for extra help to make up work or get extra support after school. So, you know, when they do go report to detention, they check in, but they have the opportunity to go to any teacher they want to get extra support. And that's always part of my conversation when I meet with the kids, when I assign it. I look at their grades and said, hey, you know, this class, maybe you're struggling a little bit, you're missing some of these assignments. Why don't you go see this teacher to get some extra support? And I always make sure I tell the parents that as well. So the conversation goes, oh, this is a great opportunity, Mr. Bosch, really appreciate it. So anytime you have to assign that to him, please do. Usually it's how the conversation goes. So it's had a lot of positive feedback, like I said, from teachers and parents. It's a great additional support to go with our in-school support center, so they're not always necessarily missing class time. So that started in the last couple of weeks. As far as attendance, I know Principal Sylvia and I had a lot of conversations with school-wide attendance. We really wanted to kind of see what the patterns and habits were of the kids with tardies and absences. And we've talked a lot about some things we'd like to implement next year. And it's really tied a lot to credits kids attain for classes and how their absences and tardies are tied to credits. Because really, the key to improving school-wide attendance is to have a very solid accountability system with attendance. I mean, right now, I'm having a lot of meetings with kids, meetings with parents, phone calls to parents, because as we all know, attendance is not a black and white issue. It's black, white, and gray. You know, there are some cases where kids just, you know, they're habitually tardy, they don't like to get up in the morning, so on and so forth. But then there's some real legitimate things of why kids have poor attendance. So, you know, each case is kind of individually dealt with and supported. But I know as far as attendance, Principal Sylvan and I have talked a lot about that for next year, what we want to implement to strengthen our school-wide attendance. So right now, it's more just laying some foundational work with parents and families. And the last thing I know, the Unity Club was touched upon. I know they have elected officers in the last couple weeks as part of the Unity Club. It is being led by two of our guidance counselors, Mrs. Fahey and Mrs. Lyons. And I've been to a few of the meetings of the kids in the auditorium, and they're getting off to a great start. I know the seniors have talked a lot about in year one, it's building that strong foundation for this club, and the seniors are really looking at this as an opportunity to leave a legacy of this club going forward, to strengthen overall cultural awareness in the school, and they're getting off to a great start. I know they are reaching out to several guest speakers from Bridgewater State University, and they're working closely with Dr. Williams and Principal Sylvia, so it's getting off to a great start from something that happened early in the year that was a tough situation for everybody, but this is a real positive that has come out of it from the school's perspective.
Matt, what's the makeup of that club in terms of, is there enough, grades split amongst them? Clearly the seniors were taking a lead, I know a few of them.
Yep.
But is there enough that we're not gonna have a problem keeping that momentum going?
No, I think the numbers are very good. It's very, there's all
It's
different
spread.
grades.
There's
Yeah,
good spread.
it's not senior dominated. There's, even some of the kids who were running for officer positions were freshmen.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
I think it's set up to be carried forward. I know the kids are very passionate about it. And the great thing about it, it's and the way it was framed, it's student-led but staff-guided. Because that's the way the kids are really going to become invested in it. And so the kids are really taking charge of the club and moving it forward. So I think it's a strong foundation is being laid for it to be a strong part of the community for years to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just say something, Matt? And it's really kudos and congratulations to you and Jeff. Honestly, my child in particular, but a lot of parents I speak to have seen such a positive change in this particular building. And just the work you and Jeff are doing is just amazing, and you really need to be complimented on that, because you're really taking the time to hear, to listen, to study, explore, and do things that work with the, population of the school. And I mean, even when I've been in the building, there's just such a much more of a positive feel and environment. I just really want to thank you and compliment you guys on that, because it's been really noticeable change.
Well, Jeff and I obviously were new to the community, but I tell my wife all the time, I can't believe how polite and kind the kids are in the school. And not that they weren't in the schools I was in before, but, for example, I have a kid in for, he'd get in trouble, and they all apologize to me for what they did. And I never saw that before. Every single kid, when they leave my office, sorry, Mr. Bosch. And it's just, it's amazing the kindness and the polite nature of the kids in this school, just school-wide. And it's just, that's a compliment to the parents, the community, the staff, administration, everybody kind of working together, and the kids are just incredible in this school. It's been from day one.
I have to agree. The respect and kids holding doors and please and thank you that you see is much more prevalent in this community than I've seen in other schools.
It's amazing.
But you guys have really amped it up, and
Thank you.
It's just, and I say that from, my own child is having an incredible year. And she struggled a lot last year, some of this stuff anyway, but I do, just the vibe and the feel in the building is just really amazing this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you, too.
Drive safe.
I hope to see you tomorrow, Mr. Bosch. Don't say happy holidays yet.
That's
Three more
just
da-
for our
we got 3
benefit.
more
You might not
days here.
see us.
My wife let me take her all-terrain vehicle, so I should be safe. Thank you. Have a good night.
Night,
You
thank
too,
you.
guys. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. John Phelan, Special Education Director. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Hey, John. So I'm gonna be a little brief. My only real report for this evening is to talk about a transition that we made as a department. We were using, as a district, we were using a student information system called SchoolBrains. We had a separate IEP system we were using last year. So we made a transition this year into a special education piece of SchoolBrains. I want to really commend our special education staff, because it was all new to them. This was a whole new piece, and there was some nervousness at the beginning of it. They went through a training at the beginning of the school year with representatives from SchoolBrains who came down. They also went through an additional training on our first half PD day with myself and our IEP coordinators who really had to catch up and get running with it as well. And the first piece that was really big for us was the first progress reports. So if that went well, I think that the rest of it would go well. And looking at it, our first round of progress reports went great. Our staff were incredible. We had a couple of glitches, a couple of kind of retraining issues, but people were right on board. They were communicating. They were staying in touch with our IEP coordinators who worked diligently to help support the staff. And I really want to put the kudos out to our special education staff, the IEP coordinators, really for doing a great job in getting this system up and running. The best part about this system is it allows all teachers to have access to read IEPs without having to go through. In past years, they had to go through like kind of an extra step and go through another window. In this one, they know students that are in their classroom that have services or need services and can access and read those IEPs in a minute's notice.
And isn't it like tagged, for lack of a better term, like
So, yeah.
they log into their roster and they see, have IEPs?
It's flagged, yes.
Yeah.
When their roster
Which
comes
is
up,
nice.
there's actually a little dot, that's a flag, and they can actually click on that dot, and it brings up the student's IEP into a read access.
Whatever information that you had in your special education software that you used last year, was that data able to be seamlessly migrated over into the school brain software?
I wouldn't say seamlessly, but again, I mean, the IEP coordinators worked in the summer, the clerical staff that I have worked in the summer, and they did a phenomenal job getting that over. It was able to roll it all over and in with support again from School Brains. We made multiple phone calls to them, but we got it all in.
Oh, good. Thank you.
That's about it for tonight.
You forgot one important thing about that.
Okay. Yes, John?
You saved about $6,000.
Wow.
I'll let you make that announcement.
But he's giving you credit, so that's good.
I knew he was going to jump in
Pick up
because
my
we've been
attention.
we've been getting billed the last couple of weeks. At the end, that he'd already put the kibosh on it, and
Yeah, can you just give us a quick update on the North River interns? And
Sure.
how that program's going?
So it's actually going pretty well. Our North River interns, we have 2 interns currently in the district, one who's doing a 2-day internship at the Mitchell, and one who's doing a 3-day internship here. In fact, I have some numbers I could actually share with you. So for our interns, the interns here at the high school, or at the junior senior high, they had 17 referrals that they worked on this year in conjunction with our guidance department, in conjunction with our school psychologist and the administration of the building. But out of that, they had 1 that was a social skills need, 6 that were anger management needs, 3 that were anxiety or trauma needs, 3 that were depression, and 6 that were crisis. All of those were supported by them, but supported by staff that are currently here, because they work under staff that are currently here, and it's going very well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's
And
been
had they not been here, what would we have done?
We would have they either would have worked with our guidance counselors, or they would have worked with our school psychologist, but that puts an extra
Or-
burden
right,
on them.
or already
I mean,
kind
our
of
our school
maxed.
psychologist, right, our school psychologist has a job she has to do, where she's asking to do, and I'm always pushing her for timelines and making sure she's in compliance. Our guidance counselors not only doing dual duty as social emotional counselors, but also guidance counselors doing the academic pieces as seniors are looking to apply to schools, and so, I mean, there's a big piece there.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great holiday, everyone.
You too.
Enjoy it.
They love the tie.
I'll see you tomorrow, Jay.
Oh, absolutely. You know you will.
But they keep saying happy holidays and looking at me.
Well, it's my last opportunity to see these guys.
I'm waiting for Dr. Williams and John to stand up and say happy holidays.
Give them a couple minutes, they might.
If you had said it first, Liz, then I'd be concerned.
See you in the morning, Jay.
Hey, we
Thank
could get
you.
a blizzard, you never know.
Oh, no.
No, I know, we don't need a blizzard right now.
This time I take a motion, let me just start by saying I do not see anyone here for public comment section. So we'll move on to the action items.
Safety.
I have, the first, I'd like to make a motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes on from November 26, 2019.
Ellen, I'm just gonna throw that out, that I have to abstain, so can you do it with 3?
Yeah, because we have a quorum here, so if you abstain,
Okay.
it's-
Did I miss
Just wanted to make
anyone?
sure before I did it.
Were you at the November 26th meeting?
I'm not sure.
Well, check the minutes. It'll,
have
it'll say, oh, you don't have a packet,
No,
I have them,
sorry.
hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Rob Ruda was here. November, you were here.
User.
You were here.
Then I vote yes.
So I made a motion to
Need a
approve those
motion.
minutes, so I need a second.
So, second,
Second by Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have
Abstain.
3 approvals and 1 abstention. At this time, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrant 23 SV dated December 4th, 2019.
Second.
Second by Trista, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimous. I make a motion to approve payroll warrant 24 PS dated December 11th, 2019.
so moved.
I moved it.
Oh, sorry, second.
Second by Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's unanimous. I figured I'd cut out a step. I make a motion to award the bid to Insight, a staffing company that provides substitutes for teachers and instructional support assistants. This is for our substitutes. So I made that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I know does anybody have any questions about it before I move on to the next action item?
I'll just email mine.
Thank
Don't
you.
need to take up time with that.
Okay, so that was unanimous. And I make a motion to approve the homeschooling of a student that Dr. Williams has, she reviewed the home education plan, and she approves this request, so we need to officially vote on that. So I make a motion to approve that homeschool plan.
I will second that motion.
Second by Teresa, all in favor? Aye.
Discussion? Can we do that?
Sure.
Just real quick, and I'll limit it to like 60 seconds. Sure. I don't want names or anything, but like, what's the value of this?
Of homeschool?
Yeah, just
So it's unusual
just a
that
quick
we
synopsis
receive a
of
homeschool.
what's better for the student who's being homeschooled versus, and honestly, I'm just.
Right,
I'm
and
not
it's
trying to-
hard to say a blanket
Yeah.
statement about that. I mean, certainly there's different circumstances and different situations that one environment might be more productive for a student than another. It is unusual for us to get a request once the school year has started, but in this particular case, homeschooling has occurred in the past. It's always, we always hope that students will make an attempt at public school education, and this student did. I shared actually with Mrs. Pennington the other day. The parent was here for a meeting. She's now wavering, maybe. Her student will possibly continue, and I said, let's get the plan approved, and that way then if they decide to go forward with the homeschooling, then they have an approved plan to do that. So at this time, the student still is attending.
Do we have any kind of oversight into any
So,
of it?
because
Like,
they wouldn't receive
is
a
it state
diploma.
regulations?
Yes.
That people have to, the people who are doing the homeschooling?
Yes.
If I chose to homeschool my kids, which I don't. 'Cause
So I
it'd
can
be
certainly
terrible.
share an application with you so that you can see the types of information that we require, and one of them is the credentials of the provider. Most often, it's the parent, so
Yeah.
there are needed credentials in order for them to provide the homeschooling. They also need to provide a timeline in which it'll be done, because they need to adhere to the equivalence of the 900 hours or 990 hours if it's for a secondary student. Most often, in most of the cases, they're actually spending more time than that, working with their student, and then they also have to adhere to the state standards as well. So, and then a progress report is sent to me at the end of the school year.
Are we required to, is there any kind of oversight that the district has to provide to be,
Yes.
to
So I-
ensure that those 900 hours and that like, if, I guess what I'm asking is, if the student, how does the student's family coordinate with the state?
Right.
Because we're really good at it, and we spend a lot of money making sure that we're in coordination.
Right.
I'm just curious to know that for the kids who are homeschooled, which is fine with me, but
Yeah, so we
How do we
don't
ensure that
we
they're-
don't oversee to make sure that the amount of hours has been covered. We're assuming that those hours have been covered and the standards have been covered for that particular grade level. The biggest difference is the resources, materials, and types of instruction the students get in order for them to learn those standards. They don't actually receive a diploma from us, so we're not giving the same stamp of approval to a homeschooling plan as we would for a student who's gone through the school system. So oftentimes, if a student is homeschooled and they want to apply to college, there would be some required state standardized testing that they would need to take, SATs, ACTs, things like that.
And I'm sorry, I'm going completely off the grid
No,
here,
that's-
because I don't know anything about homeschooling, so I don't want you to give the whole,
Right. And virtual schooling is an option for students now as well. So a lot of times parents will take advantage of online.
Does that fall under this homeschool program?
It does. TECA does not, because TECA is a state-approved program, but parents may use online resources, online curriculum as part of their homeschool
So
plan.
you don't have, if somebody decided to use TECA, you don't have to approve that?
It's an application process that they go through with TECA.
Oh, okay.
And ordinarily, we approve homeschooling students by the end of August or beginning of September anyway. Like, this is an anomaly.
Start of the school year. Yeah, so it's very rare.
I mean, not we, but you or us or whomever.
What was the question?
We haven't not approved a homeschool plan?
I've never not approved. I have sent it back or had the parent come in so that we could get it to a place where it needed to be. But I've never, in the 5 years I've been approving them, have never outright denied someone. It's just usually.
We, the
been that
school
need
committee,
to put-
we've never denied. We take your recommendation and we approve it.
And Gina, do you know, are there any, and I know now we're getting off and we want to go home, but I just have a quick question, because I know, like, I have friends, a lot of 4-H families homeschool. It never worked for me, but. And there's like cooperatives down in the like Raynham Town way. Is there one around this way for some of these families, or do they have to travel?
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Right, and I know in the past, we've had families within the community kind of get together and share their own expertise and kind of share the content areas amongst each other, so that the students would be learning from maybe another
Which is kind of what the
homeschool child's
cooperatives do,
parent.
correct?
Right, yeah.
I was more curious because I've had a lot of exposure to it through 4-H,
Yeah.
but it's not around here, so I just didn't know.
I
if
mean,
we had
it's a
the same-
huge commitment. I mean, the amount of time and work that parents put into the homeschool plans and providing the education. to students.
You know what,
you don't do it.
ton of respect for those parents.
Right, no, you don't do it to get out of
You don't
work.
jump in and say,
Oh my God,
just so
no,
I
I
can
haven't-
let my kids watch TV all day.
Right.
When you opt into this has gotta be something.
Right.
I would like to make that motion over again because I don't know that we ever finally voted on it. So I make a motion to approve the homeschooling student of Dr. Williams, that Dr. Williams already reviewed and approved.
And I
Second.
So second by
Teresa
Teresa,
was first.
or Rob, or whoever. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, so it's unanimous.
Let me just make one mention that I did forget. As you know, we have the boiler project at the central school. It has not been commissioned yet. We are waiting for the commissioning agent. They'll start to, we're hoping that they will be here tomorrow and starting. We have had some hiccups, and I know that a couple people have inquired about that. We have never not had heat in the building. We have had it shut off at 6:45 the programming, and maybe something went wrong with the steam and the way it's, because it's brand new and it needs to be flushed, and some other things that I was told the other day, but I am not a engineer and I don't know how to run a steam. a hot
Get
water-
on that program.
hot water boiler and a steam boiler at the same time. But I can say this, Jeff Wilkinson, the company, the CEO of Wilkinson, the engineering company, he came down the other day because it was the second time in the last week. One happened, I guess, last Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it happened again Monday morning. He did come, he was here on site, he waited for the foreman of the operation, or the clerk of the works, whatever they call him, to be here. They did run some testing. It's because it's brand new, and you're gonna just have some hiccups until it gets, and like they said, familiar with the way that the building and the piping and everything else is being worked. So, I know that some people get worried about that building. It heats up very fast, but it also cools down very fast. The unit vents seem to be working. We were blowing cold air the other day in room 14. We did, we heard about that. We know that we took the students out of the room. We got the room 14 working within about 45 minutes before students had to go back in, so.
Are we comfortable that the contract is covering us in every facet?
Brian Kiley.
14 is
Oh, yeah.
cold,
Brian Kiley.
month from now.
Brian Kiley has been terrific. He's been in every meeting. He has been on top of them. He meets with John once a week. We've been going over it. We have not made any telephone calls that have not been received and not have been attended to immediately. That was a very difficult project. They had to build it inside.
Before it was,
They had to build it inside that room.
I remember.
They brought in a lot of steel, and there was a lot of piping that had to be done. And like John, like when they've told us before, a lot of these plans, they might do something at Whitman-Hanson, they sort of stamp them and they say, oh, this will work over and they just tweak them instead of creating a whole new set of plans. And you're looking at a building that had a lot of nooks and crannies, and you think a chimney is this big, and it was really only this big inside.
Let's contractually, financially,
We're all set.
are we
We came in under budget.
looking at oversight?
I'll tell you oversight, Rob. I've been at every meeting. We've come in under budget. We have not been charged for any call that we have made to have them come back. The clerk of the works or the foreman, George, he has not left the project, and no one
George
else.
Foreman, is it?
Yeah, and no one has come back in.
No one's making that joke? George Foreman, really?
But no one has come in and taken over. Brian Colley has done a really nice job on this project. He is there on a daily basis, and Ted Johnson calls him every morning, the lead custodian over at Central School, because he's the first one in the building. And the first thing that they do is they run that furnace. They go in. So we've been on top of it. I mean, we haven't really had any concerns. It's more of, we're just gonna work the bugs out at the beginning. So, yeah, it's come in under budget. There hasn't been any, and the oversight, Brian's done a great job.
My
And
daughter's there every day, and she loves being there every day. She's never.
and we've kept Bryan Noble in contact too on this, because this is
A town, it's a
Yeah.
town thing.
It's their project technically.
Well, thank you for that update.
yeah, I just wanted you to know, because I do have
Everybody's
some
being
parents
kept-
that get nervous, so.
Everybody's warm.
Really, though, George Foreman?
Before I
I
forget,
got
I
you.
would like to thank EBCAM for always filming our meetings. They filmed our meeting again tonight. And I would like to wish everyone a very happy, healthy, and safe holiday season, and we will see you next year.
Happy New Year.
And at this time, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Rob, all in favor. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Before you guys leave, can you sign?